Thank you for coming back for the second part of the conference. We are moving to, we'll be in the same subject, but from another point of view. So it will be a bit more about regulation and corporate governance and related to technological advancement. And I pass the floor to Daniela for the second, to start, kick off the second part.
Thank you. Well, I hope you have energized yourself and are ready to listen more. Today, probably our colleagues who are a little late will come also in a few minutes. But meanwhile, we can already start, and I'm pleased to introduce you first the moderator of the next panel, Mr. Klime Popovski. He's a university professor for the University of St. Clement Ohridski in North Macedonia. But beside this, he is a person with a very vast experience working for years in the insurance supervising, also heading an insurance company. Well, he works for a lot of international committees. He's involved with a lot of things. And my personal preference is his initiative of called area. Probably he can explain more. It's an association of academics related to insurance who are producing studies and very interesting research papers and are connecting all these markets in the region in their studies, which is very important. And well, we at Exprim are very happy to support this initiative and to help with whatever we can. So Klime will moderate this panel. And I'm inviting to join him on the stage Mr. Tudor Galos, founder of Tudor Galos Consulting, privacy consultant, AI governance from Romania. Tudor is one of the first consultants in Romania who could actually speak knowing about what he's speaking for about GDPR and a lot of other these subtle rules. Then I'm calling Mr. Nicolae Stanchev, Chairman of the Management Board for the Association of Bulgarian Insurers. And I would like to thank him also for the support the association provided for this event. Mr. Rasmus Linge, CPTO for Fadata Group, Bulgaria. Well, Fadata Bulgaria, it's a little bit deceiving because in fact they are a global company and they have experience in very many markets. And finally, Mr. Armin Gerber, Managing Director, AFES Switzerland and AFES Maroc. AFES being a Swiss company, in fact, but Maroc gives it a nice color.
A little bit of spice.
A little bit of spice, exactly. So, from now on, Klime, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Daniela. Thank you for your kind invitation, for excellent conference. It's a great pleasure to be here in Sofia for the first time for the insurance conference. And Sofia is very close to my heart because my grandfather served here as Archimandrit. And he died, and his grave is Dragalevsky Monastery. So a lot of friends and families here in Sofia. You mentioned area, Eastern European Risk Insurance Association. It's an academic organization that we like to promote research on risk management and insurance. But it's not only research, also it's about training, education. And we organize 2 events per year. One is the research conference, and second is the summer school program. The summer school program always is happen in Ohrid, beautiful Ohrid, end of June or beginning of July. It's a 1-week intensive program, and it's open more for the new talents in the insurance industry. So this summer school is not for the students, it's for the industry professionals. especially for the newcomers. So I encourage you, you can follow on the LinkedIn and the website of area for all announcement. Now let me give you some introduction to our panel. This panel, will be very difficult to open and to start because of 3 factors. It's after the lunch, after so many beautiful presentations, very insightful discussion that we have, so it's not easy to moderate and for our panelists. Second, it's about regulation. So we didn't mention at all in our morning session about regulation. And regulation, actually, when we come to that, everyone is not very much happy, because to be compliant and to follow the regulation, it's not easy task. And sometimes regulation can really hurt. It could be a big obstacle for innovation. In the all risk reports like Allianz Risk Barometer, AXA also provide risk monitoring. Banana Scheme is from PwC, Risk Barometer. You will see that in the top 5 risks in the last 15, 20 years, always it's regulation and all the risk related regulation. The other risks are changing. Now cyber risk is number 1, but cyber risk was not before 10 years. But regulation is always in the top 10, in the top 5. And the third, also very interesting, Karel this morning in his opening remark mentioned about the EIOPA Consumer Trends Report. And what they found there, on the claims management side, we are talking about digitalization, AI, efficiency, customer journey, everything in the benefit of our clients, but official statistics said that in 2024, the claims compensation, especially in motor insurance, shows delay comparing to year before. So why is that? And we are using technology to be more efficient. So this is just some food for thought as a starting point for our discussion. Now we'll start in the order that previously we agree. Each panelist will have 5 minutes to explore the subject that we agree. And of course, in the end, it could be some conclusion and of course some space for you to address some question. So I will start with Mr. Nikola Stanchev, the CEO of Generali and also the chairman of Association of Bigger Insurance. So Nikola, how do you see the balance between innovation and regulatory compliance evolving in the insurance sector, particularly if we come to the digital claims handling? Is regulation it's more of a barrier, or it can be actual is a driver for innovation?
Thank you, Klima. So first of all, just to remind what are the primary goals of regulators and of insurance regulation. And these, we all know, these are to preserve market stability, to monitor financial health of insurers, to protect also consumer rights. Driving innovation is definitely not a primary objective of regulation. I have never seen anywhere written by regulators that this is their primary objective. This is why I think it is probably too strong to say that regulation can drive innovation. It's simply too strong. On the other side, I believe that regulation can promote innovation. How? how it can promote digitalization and innovation. First, to remove obsolete rules, obsolete requirements, like requirements for to have papers, to have physical documents, to use physical signatures. This is clearly quite obsolete, and there are many technologies who can cope with it. Second thing is rules should be, or legislation, regulation should be principle-based, not some super rigid rules. And at the end of the day, a regulation should keep pace with the technological advancements. When you have AI developments, the regulators, they cannot close their eyes and just say, okay, this is not happening. No, it is happening, so they have to cope with all this new reality, new environment. If I speak about Bulgarian market, and specifically for digital claims, you mentioned these statistics. I never heard about these statistics, that the processing time of claims has increased, not decreased, which is quite surprising. I don't know how these calculations are done, but I believe that in Bulgaria...
It's done by information provided of national supervisory authorities to EIOPA.
Okay, good. But what is my observation? I think claims area in the Bulgarian market is one of the most advanced in terms of digitalization and innovation. Also because insurers are rational, so they are focusing on this area because it is usually labor intensive, cost intensive, and also it is an area which is super important for customers. You know, we insurers call the claim payment the moment of truth, because this is the moment when you deliver your promises, the promises that you made to the customers when collecting the premium. So this is why it is very important, and this is why insurers focus in this area. I will use just few examples in lines of business like health insurance, motor insurance. It has become very common that the claim registration is done online, is done through customer portals, through insurer sites or apps, including also making photos which are required for the claim process. This can be done remotely, both in motor insurance, also in household insurance. Other examples. There is an example of using drones in agricultural insurance, in the claims processing area again, in order to make photos for damages which happened in not so easy to access areas. Other examples, in health insurance, it is now very common that customers are booking their appointments to medical facilities through a platform, and it's massive. There is one very big platform on the Bulgarian market. In health insurance, the other topic is telemedicine services, which is more and more used by customers. And honestly, this type of service started during COVID time. Before, there were some examples, but it was very useful during COVID time, and now I think these services are used more and more. And I'm sure I can find many other examples on our market, and I think this is it clearly demonstrates that the regulation in claims area is not an obstacle for innovation on our market. Of course, we need to comply with rules like GDPR, like AI Act, and there are still with DORA, for example. What is the effect of this? The cost is higher because we need to take into account when developing such solutions. But this is my observation, that in claims area we don't have big problems with regulation on our market.
Thank you, Nicola. Before we move to the second panel, I would like to ask you to raise hand if we have representative from the supervisory regulatory authorities here in the audience. Not?
Just
So
in
you
case.
feel comfortable. And there are some former regulator supervisors also present in the room?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So more relaxed ambient. So now let's move to Tudor Galus, who is a leading expert in privacy and AI governance, so data protection. So Tudor, in your view, how can insurers or insurtech integrate privacy, data protection, cybersecurity principles into the product design, the claims automatization process? So with that, the compliance become a part of innovation rather than an obstacle.
Very good question indeed. Thank you very much. Actually, if we are looking at the overall data legislation in Europe, it can be really complex. I mean, we have only general data legislation. We have GDPR, Data Act, Digital Services Act, Digital Markets Act, Open Data Directive, Data Governance Act, and many others to come. And in insurance, of course, new legislation is coming. So it can be complex. However, all these legislation have a thing in common. They're based on the same principles, including, by the way, the European Union Artificial Intelligence Act. It's on the same principles which are laid down by OECD, the Organization for Economic Collaboration and Development. And they are not so new, these principles. They are 10, 15 years old. To answer your question, one of the most important principles is called privacy by design and by default, which was laid down by Anne Kevukian, a Canadian member of the Supervisory Authority in Canada, in which she defined the 7 key principles which are related to privacy by design and, of course, by default, meaning actually maintaining the privacy of a system which processes personal data since the moment it is designed and throughout its lifetime. This principle is translated in GDPR in Article 25, data protection by design and by default, which is basically requiring every data controller to make sure it integrates data protection from the moment it designs a new product, a new service, a new idea, a new processing. So basically, how to solve this? Engage the DPO from the beginning. If you don't have a DPO, engage your data protection consultant or your data protection organization or champ or leader or whatever you want to call him or her, but engage them early. Based on my experience of working with over 200 customers across the world, is most of the time the biggest failures are caused by the fact that data protection role is not engaged early. Usually it's engaged at the end. And data protection comes and says, wait a minute, this is not compliant, you need to change everything, let's say. Or you need to change 50% of your application. You need to change the data flows. You need to make sure that certain security controls are in place. What happens when data protection by design and by default is not taken into consideration? Just look at Microsoft. When Microsoft initially launched the alpha version, so not even beta, alpha version of Windows 11, there's a new feature there called Copilot Plus, which is monitoring everything you do on your computer. And I'm not joking, everything. Every website you visit, everything. And it records your activity, because then you can question. By the way, I visited the X website, I've seen a new insurance product, I want to buy it, but I forgot about it. Do you remember? And usually this service should tell you, yeah, by the way, 2 weeks ago you visited this, and this is the website, this is the product, buy it. Well, the problem is that somebody discovered the fact that everything which was recorded was not encrypted. So basically, if a hacker would hack your computer, it would have access to all your activity, everything what you did, all the websites you visited, because it was unencrypted. Microsoft apologized and said, wait a minute, but that's not a problem, it's just an alpha product, it's not for wide release. Yes, but you failed to integrate these controls from the beginning. You designed a product with flaws that you need then to address. And that's really important because under GDPR you're not allowed to do this. And by the way, neither you are under EU Act and the other legislations as well. You need to do it by design, so from the moment you design the product. So engage the data protection role early, from the moment you create a new product, a new service, a new application, a new agent, a new agentic structure, and ask them, work with them in the design phase. And yeah, the bad news is that, yeah, if they have no idea or if they don't know how to answer this or if they say, wait a minute, we don't know how to do this, change them.
Okay. No, thank you, Tudor. Very short question. Are you aware that in Romania, the insurance company, there are cases to breach the rules and there were like huge fines against some of the insurers?
Yes, of course. There were fines due to the fact that usually they are related to security failures where they sent offerings to other customers, so other customers offering to other customers. One of them was discovered by one of our customers, by the way, a really big insurer. I won't tell its name, of course.
Okay.
In the reconciliation phase with the brokers, they shared their policies online. So all the policies were online, which is normal if you want to just share the policy. However, if you are incrementing a simple digit at the end of the policy, you would get a new policy of another customer. So basically, my customer checked and over 10,000 policies were affected. We notified, of course, the insurer and they fixed it.
So thank you Tudor. Now let's bring Rasmus Lunge from Fadata Group. So Fadata knows those who are Bulgaria. It's Rasmus worked directly as an intersection of technology and regulation from one hand, and helping insurance to implement scalable and compliant digital system. So Rasmus, from your perspective, what role should regulators and other government institutions play in enabling innovation through all these instruments such as open insurance frameworks, shared digital transformation? This is also a very hot topic, especially the sharing information. So what will be your thought on that? Of course, you can speak from Danish perspective, but also more from international as well.
You hear me? Yeah. So when I got this question before, I was sort of stepping a bit back, because we have to ask ourselves, why is insurance important? Why? Why should the regulators be interested? It's because insurance is a fatal pillar in society, because insurance creates stable economy. Imagine you have a house that burned down and you don't have any insurance, you don't have any money. You will simply create problems for the society. And that's why insurance is a foundation. And you guys should actually be very proud, because you're doing a very important thing for the society. I know you're running a business, right, and you want to do well, but for the society itself, it's super important. So, what should the legislators do in that regard? And if you step a bit back, you need them to enable, right? We have customers all over the world, from Germany to Japan, to Peru and Chile, Australia for that matter. So we can see very clearly where the government is failing in their responsibility. You need to create an infrastructure. Seen from the governance side, you need to have, broadband, or you need to have a good mobile network. You need to have a very unified digital ID, because if you do not enable all of that as a government, it's very tricky to work in a digital space. So we need them to step in. And just to give you an example, one of our biggest problems in Germany is the lack of fiber. They don't have. They simply underinvested in the area. which means that the digital transformation in Germany is just uphill because people don't have really good internet connections. You can also see black spots in the mobile coverage, right? So you need to have this foundation in place. So this is what we should push for the legislators. They need to get the infrastructure up and running. They need to decide for a good digital identification. They need to push for a unified digital signature. Because otherwise, how can you optimize the processes if everything is spread out? So they have like this enabler function. Then, of course, they need to build the boundaries, right? Because in general, it could be nice to do whatever we want, right? And the bigger you are, the more muscle you have, the more you can bully the market. But somehow, they also need to create the balance for competitiveness. Not only within the country, but across of Europe. So they need to create a setting where things are more stable. And you can see, a load of regulation is coming from the European Union. And imagine in Bulgaria, right? You need, as an insurance company, to go to the government and ask, how do I interpret this? What is it that you want? The difference between that and what we do in Scandinavia, at least, is in Scandinavia there is a board where all the insurance companies has decided we do not compete on compliance. We need to be unified in the way we implement it. And we have one organization handling the descriptions on how we implement it. And then we do it all together in the same way. Because otherwise it becomes really complicated. So there is a lot of stuff that we can do also as an insurance community to actually have a better dialogue and make the legislators understand the reality. Because to be honest, sometimes something comes out of Brussels that is really, how do you say it, not in touch with the reality of a digital transformation. You could hear earlier about requiring paper, but why? Why today? So they simply need to have the input from the insurance companies here. And then, of course, they need to audit because they need to secure that we play within the playing field. Because if we don't, then something bad will happen. And just to give you an example, imagine that you neglect your security. So basically you are breaking the door and you neglect it. And somebody from somewhere in the world decides that they want to shut your system down. It's not that hard. Of course, you can always shut down the customer interface if you have vulnerabilities in your system and they hack into your customer database, expose all the customer information. What do you think will happen with your insurance company after that? You're gone. You're simply gone, which means that even though you're a market leader today, tomorrow you might not be here. And it's a very important risk to manage as an insurance company. And that's why it's very important to have this dialogue with the government.
Thank you very much. Before we go to Amin, very short reflection that I will address a brief question to Nikolai. What is the experience here in Bulgaria with sharing the data with government institutions, like with the police or health register? It's something that is going on that...
I think we have just, so in terms of GDPR, for example, in terms of DORA, we have the common European Union rules. And of course, if you have a problem, then you'll contact police and the authorities which are responsible for this type of incidents, if we have incidents. And of course, on the market, we have had some incidents as well, and I confirm that it's very crucial. It's a big risk currently, and it will be bigger and bigger, this risk, because we are investing more and more in digitalization and digital tools.
Okay, thank you. So last but not least, I mean, Gerber, who brings valuable cross-border experience in managing digital operation and compliance in a very multiply regulatory environments. And I mean, the question for you will be, as AI becomes increasingly central to claims assessment and fraud detection especially, how can companies ensure fairness, transparency, and accountability in the algorithm decision making? Because algorithm, it should be focused on the regulatory approach, because the supervisor will focus on how the algorithm working.
Yeah, thank you. Good question. I'm looking at the watch. There's not so much time left. AI become very common nowadays. We heard several examples today in the morning also. And I think we do need the responsibility of the claims handling, always. Meaning it should be fair and transparent. So it's not just to build a new powerful AI model up running, and there's also the need to build good and strong governance around it. So the main point will be the transparency, and transparency does not only mean, okay, we share just the code. I can give you an example. If there is an accident happening, you have an AI tool which denies liability. The third party comes towards you. What do? You need to explain why you refuse the claim. So this is one of the big topics. The decision we make, or the AI make, we should understand the AI, and we should always explain the decision we made. And at the end, I would say AI should support people, claims handler, but not replace them. And if they will replace them, it should be always explainable. So at the end of the day, I think the company who will implement an AI who is explainable, transparent, will be the winner. And to answer your question shortly, yes, it should be transparent.
So thank you. What I can see in the regulatory environment, that the supervisor across the Europe, they set up their own AI units, that actually the main focus will be to explore the algorithm of the AI. So there are many countries that are more engaged in this. Okay, so to close this panel, before we close, I would like to invite each of you to share a brief reflection on how you can see, or how should be designed, the future regulatory model as a platform for communication between the industry, the regulators, and other stakeholders. So what will be your recommendations, suggestions, views on that?
Okay. I mentioned few things. One is timing is very important. So the legislation and the regulation should be on a timely basis, not lagging behind the technological advancements, but also not being in a hurry to introduce many rules before before the technology is developed, because it might hinder it. Then it's also about vision. I think regulators should have a vision. If they have a vision, they will not need to change every time, every year, the regulations and the rules, because it might be costly for market participants. And you also mentioned the regulations should embed fairness, transparency, which is very important, especially with AI, especially with sophisticated technologies, which are not intuitive to understand. So these are my.
Thank you. Tudor?
Alignment. I would say the key here is alignment. the supervisory authorities, no matter of the industry, whether it's on data protection, on insurance, on AI, are not aligned. And that's a big issue. We have contradictory decisions in every member country, and that creates a lot of confusion. Now, I know there is a simplification initiative at the EU level for all types of different regulations, but the problem is how to align the supervisory authorities in Europe which have full autonomy. Just think of the fact that if you have a data breach, actually you need to file several reports. One is to the Data Protection Supervisory Authority, the other one is to the Cybersecurity Authority due to the NIS2 implementation. You need to do maybe something separate on DORA. Your local regulator might ask you to make another report, and under EU AI Act you should also report incidents related to AI to other non-existent yet entities. So that's a problem. One of the things in discussion at European Commission is to have a single report filed for every incident, not multiple reports. So alignment is key, and key alignment between all the supervisory authorities to have one central decision. So basically, if a decision, for example, is applied in Bulgaria, it should be the same in Romania, in France, in Germany, in Italy, not have, you know, conflicting decisions. This is what I think it should be for the future.
Thank you. Rasmus?
Well, I'll do it a bit short since the time is running, but I would say unification. So you simply need to go together and have a unified approach to compliance. You need to work together as insurance companies, and then you need to work together with the other unifications within Europe, because if everything just comes out of bureaucrats or theoretical approaches, then we'll never solve the reality behind this. And you guys need to be sort of the face of reality, so things can be more smooth and do the job. So that would be my perspective.
I mean?
Yeah, just to add, maybe many things were already said. What you said is totally correct. We need, I would say, one legislation over all the countries, which makes it much simpler in the international view. But we need also to be flexible. We need to be flexible to the legislation. And I think the main point, and really important, it is to be always in discussion with the stakeholders. That's one thing we should do in future.
Yes, I fully agree. That is also my closest comment, that discussion and dialogue between all stakeholders and regulator should be top priority. For any initiative that comes from the industry, from technological providers, first the regulator must be informed and to get even kind of informal approval. Also, the regulators, they can also encourage innovation by setting insurance hub, regulatory sandbox. That is very important. This sandbox shows a very good performance and very good outputs. So, but the idea for sandbox might sometimes come even from industry side, from industry associations or the technological companies. So with that, I think the insurance market can develop more with better satisfaction of the clients. And remember, the regulators, they always take care about the consumer protection and financial stability. But of course, there should be no constraint for the innovation and how the innovation should be implemented. So thank you very much again to Nicholas, Amin, Rasmus, and Tudor for this panel. Some of you will continue with presentation. And I would like to invite all the audience to make applause to gratitude to our panelists.
Thank you very much for Klime and members of the panel. As you could hear, we all agree that legislation or regulation should be principle-based, and you might wonder why it isn't often principle-based. Well, the reason is that both the industry and supervisory authorities don't like principle-based regulation because the industry wants clear answers when it has problems, and the supervisory authorities need to have clear answers in order to respond to requests from the industry. So we are faced with this unfortunate situation. Well, we will continue our discussion of regulation, and Amin Gerber, whom we just saw in the panel, is asked to come again to the stage. He will talk about cross-border implementation and managing local compliance. This is a very important issue. You are a global player, and of course, I'm sure all of you in this room have read the reports that were published this year by Draghi and Letta. And one of the things they point out is the unfortunate situation in Europe that we still are struggling to get an internal market, because each market has characteristics of its own, raising compliance issues, which of course makes it difficult if you want to approach Europe as a single market. And that is an issue that is particularly important in today's world, where Europe faces competition from the United States, from China, to just name two, and both of these countries are completely convinced that they will try to take over here. And if we want to stop that, we need to get our act together. So, I mean, on the basis of that, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So I will not introduce myself again, but I thought you heard about it. I'm the managing director of office in Switzerland and also Morocco, so internationally. I will shortly introduce office as a claims handling company so that you all know who we are. Office is an international claims handling company based in over 20 countries. So we are all in Central Europe, North Africa, Morocco, Tunisia, and also in Turkey. We are providing our services in the international claims, where we are handling claims in the foreign, especially in the MTPL, international, meaning green card, fourth directive. And we are also doing some other services like recovery and also domestic claims, where we are providing service to insurance companies who are outsourcing their claims to us, whether it's in FOS or we are handling it from A to Z in, for example, white label. So today I wanted to go through a presentation, the claims transformation through the regulator's lens. First of all, let's have a quick overview about the current situation. So the new claims reality, what our customers are waiting from us. We do have policyholders, customers who want or demand, I call it Amazon-like experience, saying that they want an instant response. They always want to know what's the status of a claim, and they want a seamless claim resolution. Why is that? Nowadays, if you're ordering, for example, something on the internet, some shoes, you always get all the status, you know where the package is, when it will arrive to you. Same here, they want it from the insurance company to know the status of the claim. Then we have the cost pressure, so every insurance company or claims handling company as well do have some cost pressure. The prices are continuing to climb very hard. Just an example, last week I saw a light from an Audi RS6. The price was 7,500 euros only for the light. So there's a huge competition rising in the market, and everybody wants, of course, to lower a little bit the costs. Then we have the technology revolution. I guess everyone heard about that in the past few months and also years. AI, we were discussing about that today already in the morning. There was also ChatGPT 5 coming out in July. So everyone is talking about AI. And of course, last but not least, we have the regulatory, who is always interested in consumer protection, and he demands requirements for transparency, for example. So this brings me to the regulator challenge. So what is the challenge? The challenge is to, in the claims transformation, to be more quickly, efficient, but always to put an eye on, I call it a potential minefield of consumer protection and compliance risks. So our challenge is to balance between the transformation and the risk in the regulatory. So maybe quick to understand claims transformation. What is claims transformation? We have first the process automation. This one we had already some years ago, I would say 10 years ago or 15 years ago. It began to manual processes with manual touch points to automate them and to be or to have a better cycle time. Then we have the AI-powered detection, so meaning machine learning with algorithm. We saw today also some technology which is coming up, very good technology, by the way. Then we have the advanced analytics, which is very interesting for the insurance companies or also the claim handling company to get all the data, to optimize their reserves, maybe to calculate the prime in future. So this is also a big topic. And last but not least, digital ecosystem. I think many of you already are in such an ecosystem. So these are cloud-based platforms where you can integrate vendors, customers, and internal systems, for example. What are the key benefits of such a transformation? Of course, the key benefit is to be faster, dramatically faster. Now, claims handling, a normal claim costs you like 15 days, and maybe after transformation, it goes out for some minutes. Then we have the customer side. With transparency, you have a bigger satisfaction on the customer side. You have, of course, the costs you can reduce dramatically due to automation, which means not totally from the beginning, of course. In the first step, you have to invest, but then there is a cost reduction. What are the opportunities, the regulatory opportunities? What I see from the regulatory side, there are three things: enhanced traceability, fair standardization, and fraud prevention. These are all opportunities a regulator could get. So in the first part, of course, you have the digital systems, which creates, I would say, an audit trail. Then the last one, fraud prevention, also a big topic at the moment. But there are many risks, and I put few of them here on the slides. The first one, the black box, I call it black box AI decision. We just talked about it in the panel. Is there are complex algorithm, and for this, it's very hard to explain to a customer if a decision was made or why it was made. So, as we said before, we should always be transparent. And this is also a risk from that point of view. Then we have, of course, the data governance and just third-party oversight gaps. Regulatory framework, and last but not least, the diminished human judgment. And this is also something we talked about it before. There should always be a person or a human who is deciding or even though explaining the decisions, which is very important. Because only a human could have empathy. I have here one scenario, what could happen. Let's say we have an AI model who is automatically denying a claim. This happens within 90 seconds, so very fast. If you have a normal claim opening and you have to deny that, it takes you maybe 20 minutes, and in this case, 90 seconds. So this could drop your costs like 75%, which is very good. But what happens when the customer returns to you and he does not agree with the denied claim? What will you do then? You have to explain your decision. And the main question would be, can you in this moment explain why the AI denied the claim or not? So again, we always should explain why a claim was denied. So we should have the possibility of that. So how can we get to a regulatory friendly transformation? There are several steps. First of all, it might be the most important one, is the compliance by design. So we have to integrate the regulatory requirements. This is also something we just discussed before. What are the requirements? There are different requirements in different countries. So first of all, we have to check internationally where are the requirements, how are they, where. So we have to put them in our technology, infrastructure, and try to build it up with that. Then we have the explainable AI, also a topic, as already said, always to be able to explain decisions, the data ethics framework, continuous validation. This is also something very important. If we have an AI which we can understand, how can we make sure that in future, if there is a machine learning, that we in 10 years will even then understand this AI tool? So we have always to audit the automated decisions to learn ourselves how the AI works. And then we have the proactive engagement, of course, meaning we have always to be in collaboration, in discussion with the regulators in future. Here I have one sentence, we heard it also before. The most successful claims transformation strat, compliance as hallmark of quality, not as hurdle to overcome. So this is something we should use for future. And I think that if we are following these steps and we are taking away these key takeaways, that there is possibly in the near future a possibility to use AI in our daily work, but as well there are some risks, especially I would say in the international claims handling because of the different countries, different legislations. So, if you have any questions, please. Otherwise, do a coffee break. Yeah? Not yet. Okay.
Not yet. I'm sorry to say it, but we are still 2 presentations to go before coffee break. So, questions?
Maybe I have a question. You talked about regulatory divergencies, also in claims handling. Can you give us some examples of existing regulation that makes it difficult to treat the market as one market?
Yeah, so as I'm the managing director of Office Switzerland and Morocco, I know some legislation. So in Morocco, for example, we aren't allowed to use AI at all in the claims handling. So which makes for us at Office very difficult. If we will implement that in our systems, we have to pay attention that some of our countries aren't allowed to use a solution. What we have, for example, in our system is we have a tool to control if a picture or photo was manipulated. This is something we have in our system, and this is also in Morocco, which we are using, but we never could use a system like denying or opening a claim with AI. It's unfortunately at the moment forbidden in Morocco.
To return the question then, would you advise regulators not to regulate in these areas?
Not to regulate? No. I think this is wrong. We should go hand in hand, and we should try with this discussions, and as we said before, to have a solution, I would say, internationally everywhere. So that there is a regulation, of course, but in every country, the same regulation.
Do you honestly believe that in the present world, international regulation is still possible, or is still the objective of some countries in this world?
No. To be honest, no. It's quite simple. Another example, we do have a green card system, right, in the claims handling. And everyone knows the system, knows the regulation, the legislation. And even then, there are different countries with different rules in this green card system. So, of course, it's very hard. I don't believe that in the near future we will have a solution. So it will be quite hard for an international company to implement in one system an AI tool. That's my opinion.
I think I would agree with you, but at least in Europe, we have the AI Act, which is a principle-based act. And let's just hope that we are not going to implement it with a lot of delegated follow-up. Thank you very much. If there are no further questions. Okay, thank you. We are now going to have a second presentation by a person whom we have seen before, Rasmus Linge from Fadata Group. He is the Chief Professional Services, and he's going to talk about governance. And governance, of course, he will agree with me, if you want to be successful as any company, and as an insurance company in particular, good governance is a prerequisite. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Just a correction. I'm Chief Product and Technology Officer, which means that what we create of a software product is under my governance. So this is what I do. So let's start a bit. Oh, I can see that there is a screen in the middle. Well, anyway, I'm going to do a short introduction into what we are. I think a lot of people in this room know Fadata. It is a Bulgarian created company, right? It's now international with a headquarter in Munich, but still it comes out of the Bulgarian Technical University, right? 30 years old. So we have a lot of features and functionalities in the system. Then I'll talk a bit about why standardization and governance matters, and I will take it from my good friend from before, because there is things to think about, right? And then I will talk a bit about automation and ending up with AI, at least the perspective that I have around this topic. So, before we start, I would like to tell you a bit about myself, and it's not because I'm super selfish, right? It's because you need to understand the context of what I'm talking about. I was a board member in Scandinavian and Danish insurance company, so I have the easy job, I heard, right? It's all about growth and cost down, and then hunky-dory, right? This is what it's all about. So I come out of a Danish insurance market, and just to give you some perspective on that, we are only 6 million people in Denmark. It's like Bulgaria, more or less, right? Our life and non-life revenue in Denmark, or volume, is 40 billion euro. So it's a very mature market. If you take the private pension funds, we have 1 trillion euro under management in Denmark in the private pension funds. 1 trillion euro. So it's quite a big market, to be honest, and we are quite mature. And I'll give you another hint. Do you know why we are super digital? It's a rhetorical question. I'll answer it myself, right? But so in Denmark, we have nice high tax rates, so it of course influences the salary. So the salary of a claims handler is fairly high. And this salary has on top of it a financial services sector tax. So in average, a claims handler has a cost of 100,000 euro per year. Okay? Imagine sort of an average Danish insurance company with around 300 claims handlers. Well, maybe 400. Let's say 400, right? That will be around 40 million euro. So, if you can manage to create a world where things are more digital and efficient, let's say you save 20%, that's 8 million euro per year. So you have plenty of money to invest in digitalization. And the business rationality, especially from somebody like me from the C-level, right? You know, save costs, up with revenue. This is super good for us. So we, in the early days, are very digital, and it's basically driven by high salary costs. So this is why we are where we are. So this is what I come out of. Then I am in Fadata, and you can see here on the world map where we have, I think we have 65 live systems all over the world. You know what I really love about my job is that I talk with CIOs and COOs and insurance people from Australia and Kuala Lumpur to Lima and Mexico and Germany and Holland, and they are very different in their approach. They simply don't think alike. If you go to APAC, everything needs to be digital, fully automated. They don't want to see a hand on the system. It's not because the salary is expensive there, but this is just the mindset. If you go to Germany, I will tell you the first requirements that we had when we started implementing the first time in Germany was it needs to be integrated to a telefax. Really? The German process in this company, I will not generalize, right, is that if somebody has a claim, they need to find the receipts, they need to telefax them into the insurance company. The insurance company needs a person to look them through and see if balances and checks are in place. And if it has a certain size, it goes to a colleague, and then this colleague does exactly the same. Oh my God, can you see the difference, right? So that's why the work is super interesting, to see the different perspectives all over the world. So, what we have, let me see, I have time. What we have is a core insurance platform. We can do whatever you need to run an insurance company. We're not the fancy front-end solutions. We are the core of an insurance system. We call it the heart, right? Because we are needed for everything to run and to be compliant. We need our software to be secure all the time. So this is what we do. We are across P&C, life and pension, and health. So we do all lines of business within our solution. You can see the entire cycle, right? From product development, sales, policy, premium collection, commissions, claims management, and reinsurance. So you can handle all of this within our platform in different modules. So basically, that's what we do. It's not really sexy, right? It's just something you need. And this is what we have. So what we have done to make us a bit more sexy is that we have created an ecosystem around us, right? Because we know when you choose to go from an AS400 system or an old version of some software into a modern insurance platform, you'll do that, and then you realize that you need better portals, you need AI here, you need fraud detection, you need whatever. So we have created an ecosystem of partners that we pre-integrate with, which means that it's more cost efficient for you guys, insurance people, to implement the system, because you can utilize what we have or you can utilize your own setting. It's all good for us. And then, especially over the sort of last years, we have gone into a pure SaaS solution. Do you know why? It's cool, right? But it's not the reason. The reason is that we scan our software. We do it all the time. And new vulnerabilities are coming up all the time. And we need to patch and update our software between every 2 to 4 weeks to stay secure. If you're on the client side here, and you have an on-prem solution, you need to do all that work yourself, it's awful. So therefore, you need to have a SaaS solution, right? What is the problem with the SaaS solution today? Again, rhetorical, but I wanted to see if somebody realizes it. So the problem with the SaaS solution today is that it's mainly driven by US actors, right? AWS, Azure, Google Cloud. We also have Alibaba Cloud, but that's not really comme il faut in Europe, right? So we have that. And then the nice people in the US have a legislation saying that any US company that has data, no matter where in the world, if some government agency demands the data, they have to give it. This is just a fact. And imagine if you are a pension company and you have, people with millions of euros in their account. You don't want to give your data away to the US, right? So it's kind of a problem. And a couple of years ago, it might not be a really big problem, but these days, it becomes a bit more dodgy. And you can see already a sort of behavior that is not really good for this. So what we did was in a SaaS solution, right? In these cloud platform, all the data is encrypted, which is nice. Normally you have the key, but the cloud vendor also needs the key, otherwise you cannot see the data, right? Which means that then they can deliver the data unencrypted. So what we did was we partnered up. We are on AWS, by the way. We partnered up with Deutsche Telekom, and Deutsche Telekom, together with AWS, developed a solution where Deutsche Telekom keeps the key. Which means that if somebody from US, and I know all the political things that can go wrong, right? But if they need the data, they will get it encrypted, and then they need to go to Deutsche Telekom to get the key. And that is not really an easy task, I would say. So it's, of course, part of our solution, right? Because we need to be secure, we need to have data sovereignty. So this is what we do. So for us, being a boring core insurance platform, that is absolutely necessary. Our main targets is, of course, I talked about data sovereignty, but also about compliance, right? We need to make sure that we adore compliance. This is why we patch the system all the time. We upgrade all our libraries. And I will tell you, if you have an old system, it will be hold. People can get in and do stuff. And you don't want this. As I said before in the panel debate, I know very big insurance companies in the world that suddenly got hacked and their data was exposed. Do you think they are very big today? No. They are simply, first of all, they will get fines like crazy, right? But that's not the real problem. The real problem is that the clients will lose faith. And if the clients lose faith, then you can have the most beautiful solutions in the world. It doesn't matter because insurance is all about faith. Normally, when I talk to my people, my developers, right, they're IT people, they are nerdy, they understand insurance and IT, and this is what they do. So I tell them, listen, guys, we are doing important work because I know that we have around 150 million end users in touch with our platform. So we need to take care of them. It's important work we are doing. It's not just for fun, 150 million. It's fairly big, I would say. So this is what it is, right? And it's growing. So in that vicinity, it's nice. So basically, we need to ensure that you do not have to worry about GDPR, DORA, or anything about that in your core insurance system, because your core insurance system is a critical system that just needs to stay stable. So, a bit about, we have heard a lot about AI, and I totally agree with the problem. If you have an AI determining if something is covered or not, and you do not know exactly what's going on in the black hole of AI, and you don't, right? And that's the whole idea behind AI, because it can make decisions by itself. So our main recommendation is that you create automations. You can do everything with automations. Of course, you cannot do the more sophisticated stuff like fraud detection and stuff like that. There you should use AI because it's not part of the critical process. It just indicates, hey, look at this one because they might be cheating you, right? So you should build up your automations. I'll tell you a story. In 2018, I was in a Danish insurance company. Already there, we built a process. I was driving a car. I had an accident in my car. I opened the app. First, I have this policy with this claim. It immediately geotags me. You're there? Okay. Can you take a picture? Can you choose in which scenario your experience has happened, right? Because you know standard scenarios of what happens. Somebody hit me from behind, from front, from the side, whatever, right? You just choose the scenario. This is what happened. All the pictures automatically goes into the system. The scenario is chosen. So basically, there's not much to do for the claims handler here. If it's somebody else's fault, the regress is always already on the motion. Then you get a pop-up. Can you drive away, or do you need to pick up? And you can say, I can drive. Okay. Would you like to book a time in the workshop? Yes, please. Here is our recommendation, that partners, right? Choose it, book the time, and you go there. Because it's not a settlement. You don't want a settlement in a claim. You want it fixed, right? You don't want money. You want somebody to fix it for you, right? So the entire process in 2018 was fully automated. You didn't need AI for that. The biggest discussion we had, and I remember very clearly in the board our discussion, because the claims handlers were saying we can detect fraud better. It will go crazy if things are digital. We need to talk to people to sense if they're cheating. And they might have a point, right? So we decided to try it out. And we had digital processes that went very fast, and we have the manual processes. And we compared. In most of the claim types, there was absolutely no difference. And what you can do on the digital side is you can put in AI to detect fraud, and it's even better than human beings, right? Of course, you should always have a button, let me talk to a person, because otherwise some people get frustrated. And maybe we are very mature in Denmark, because I know my mother, she's 81, right? If she has to call someone instead of just doing things on her apps, she will go crazy. 81, right? So it might be also the maturity. But still, so our recommendation is mainly if you do automations, you know exactly what the reason is behind declining a claim, because it's a logical step, you know exactly what has happened, right? In AI, you don't know. We might know for the future, it might argument, I did this and this and this, but for now, it's a bit dodgy, and you can basically solve everything with automation. That's also why I never went for robots, right? Because what is a robot? A robot is creating a patchwork of automations that's not really into your core system, and every time something changes, something breaks, or at least that's my experience. So yeah, so that is it. So again, seen from my perspective, when you go the AI road, start with your surrounding systems. Choose it where it makes sense and it has a good business case. Start small and scale it up. Understand what you need to do and remember the compliance side of it. So, I think we have 2 minutes for questions.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's first thank him. And now, question time. We all know now how to build up the system. Start like a baby, and then you'll be a champion after a while. I don't see any questions. Well, again, thank you very much. And we will then move to our next speaker, Daniela.
So now our next speaker is coming from Imperial Claim Services. Is Melania Kerner, Claims Manager. And while Imperial Claim Services is a company with a very complex and cross-border claims activity and a very extended experience in dealing with fraud detection, Melania's presentation has the title of a mystery novel, I would say. It's like this: Shadow Eyes, or to be or not to be a real claim. So let's see how we can decide on this.
Thank you very much. Wow. I haven't started yet, okay. Hello, this is just a glimpse from the perspective of a claim handler. Let's see how it is from this side. Claim settlement processes with all the phases, starting with the third-party notification of the claim, with the documentation phase, with the assessment of the damages, and finally the claim decision and settlement. The question is, where in these four chapters may I or can I or am I able, or what kind of detecting tools can be applied in order to trace a suspicious case? We have on the one side the first notification of the loss, where very important information can be provided, even if the claimant does not provide with many information. Sometimes they are merely attaching documents to an email. Sometimes the Gmail address does not belong to the claimant, and you do not have the possibility to know whom you are talking to. About the reserve, probably 10 years ago, it was somehow predictable to establish a reserve for a claim. It didn't matter how big the claim. You used to have somehow strict parameters. Nowadays, it depends. The reserve has to be established depending on the person who is notifying the claim. I can establish a reserve if the pure victim, prejudiced person is notifying the claim. I do not know if it will be double, triple, or but anyway, the reserve will be definitely higher if another representative of trustee or any kind of debt assignee, cessionary, and so on will notify the claim. I have in the assessment phase two possibilities. Either the claimant is requesting for a calculation based on the registered damages in the insurer's survey report, or the situation when the insurer is confronting directly with the repair documents provided by the garages or by the trustees or debt assignees. Anyway, we have time-specific deadlines, and we have to make a decision at the latest 30 days. Now, who is notifying the claim? We have on the right side, I would say, the map with the red stars. The situation when the accidents are real, but the claims are inflated. On the map with the blue balls, there are the staged accidents, and somehow they are territorial spread in the country. Of course, there are different approaches in the claims handling depending on the case. In the real accidents with inflated claims, we face issues all the time with the labor rates of the garages and with the tariffs of the rent-a-car entities. If you ask me, after 25 years, which of the claims I would prefer to handle or which is consuming less time, I would vote for the second with the staged accidents. There is more wasted times with the cases in the first map, with the inflated claims, because you cannot investigate retrospectively if a vehicle was or not rented or was or not in the possession of the prejudiced person, in spite of the fact that the accident is real. Related to the investigation term, we have in the specific legislation the possibility as insurer to perform investigations as long as we have notified the prejudiced party that the insurer is intending to make investigations. The regulator does not specifically register if the expert should be a motor expert, a judicial expert, or an investigator in the proper sense of the word. In the same time, we have the investigation activities regulated, Law 329/2003. The question here is if the anti-fraud employees of the insurers are or not obliged or compelled to be also authorized by the inner ministry authorities. For instance, an employee of an insurer may collect data, details directly from the claimant, from the prejudiced person, but it is questionable if he can collect other details related to the accident from their neighbors. Recently, the insurance law suffered changes. Now it is about to be modified. Only for the topic we are analyzing is the issue related to the investigation possibility of the insurer. It was very close also for this paragraph to be modified, namely a proposal was made that the investigation to be settled based on an extrajudicial technical expert report prepared by an authorized expert. This proposal was rejected, and the text law remains in the same version, which is good, because you cannot know what kind of investigation, you cannot anticipate of what kind of investigation you might need in a certain case. Probably we do not need an extrajudicial report because it is not about the vehicles. Probably it is about the involved persons. Anyway, it is better that it was not approved and it remained the same. In the assessment of damages phase, it is obvious that for most of the claims, it is advisable to be settled as far as possible, offered payment and so on. I try to underline which is the moment which generates a certain blockage in the claims handling. That moment when the claim handler is questioning is the claim is genuine or not, if sufficient evidences are at disposal, is the claim to be paid, to be rejected, what to do on in such a case. In this case, I have listed all the phases from the very notification of the claim. Vehicle inspection, garage's request for supplementary inspection, garage is sending the repair estimate, the claimant is requesting for cash in hand settlement, the insurer is issuing a comparative assessment, the extrajudicial expert is inquired about the veracity of the claim, and the claim handler is questioned if he should send or not the compensation to the prejudiced person. These two photos have been sent by the claimant within the first notification of the loss. These are the documents in the files. Claim notification. You do not know from which address, you cannot know if the email belongs or not to the prejudiced person. The vehicle is inspected, is supplementary inspected, is assessed. The garage is sending a calculation, but the claimant wants to receive the cash in hand settlement, namely without without the repair invoices. What the extrajudicial expertise report is saying, 100% compatibility. PC crash is the most frequent used in such cases, whereas both vehicles are available. And it revealed good compatibility between the damages of the vehicles. I have asked for the speed of the third party's vehicle. The speed was okay according to the road segment, 48 kilometers per hour. I have also asked ChatGPT, and somewhere at a certain point, it is written that there are no traces that the accident could be staged or not. Yes. Returning to the document attesting the accident, checking again if the claim should be settled, should be rejected, should be sent for investigations. The element which triggered the decision to search for other clues, other information related to the accident was the telephone number of the insured. because it looks like he was written in the end. After the complete document has been written, the last line was the telephone number. Appealing to this telephone number, there is no connection. It is not that no one is answering the telephone. Purely, it doesn't appeal anywhere, in any way. Afterwards, the investigator went to the field, to the residence of the insured, the person who was declared that he would have driven that black sedan, Mercedes. He declared also in written that he received 200 euro so that he could place at the disposal of certain persons working in a garage with his ID and his driving license. Of course, that the neighbors where the accident, in the accident location, there were witnesses of the accident, and they declared the third party's vehicle had been damaged in a prior accident, and moreover due to his own responsibility. Another information related to the insured's vehicle, the black sedan, it had been compensated as total loss with 2 months earlier to the date of the claim declared in this case. Currently, the case, the criminal complaint was registered within the prosecution authorities for committing the offenses of insurance fraud, establishment of an organized criminal group, false representation of identity, making false statements, and use of forged documents. Also an important element is the authorities this time, in this case, have processed the insurer's complaint in less than 1 month, which is very, very good. Case conclusions. Of course that there are 3 elements identified. There is the passive factor, all the time the claimant, which is waiting to collect the compensation. The active factor, where we have the claim handler, the insurer, the claims, the analysis, the database, and the criminal factor, where all the sceneries, actors belongs, the garage, the headhunters, the scenario, all the technological processes of the criminal offense. Yes, if it would be possible for an AI-driven tool to be developed in order to trace the mechanism of the criminal offense, yes, it would be very, very helpful for the claim handler. A tool which to identify the illicit patterns depending on the area, participants, and the modus operandi. Okay, other cases, of course that the specific nature of the industry will also provide the type of fraud. We have the traditional method approach, whereas the claim handler is establishing a decision based on the documents available in the claim file, the traditional method, searching for the insured vehicle, which most of the time is not available or not found because it is declared sold immediately after the accident. In case we are lucky and have both vehicles at disposal, it exists the possibility the expert which is appointed to issue an expertise to be combated in the court of law, and another expertise will be issued by an appointed expert by the court, and I would say that this alternative brings less chances than others. Others options are, of course, investigation on site, which take less time, less nerves, and less complaints. And of course, you can also obtain a statement of the third party or of the insured that the accident was staged or they were not involved in the accident, or someone took their documents and used them, and so on. But I would say that the alternative with investigation on site is more productive and more efficient and more time and nerves consuming than the first one, than the traditional method. Other cases where when the case is notified by a representative, by a professional entity, which in the same time is also rent-a-car entity, and obviously from here the tendency to maximize the profit. This is a case with an accident from 2019 with a total loss vehicle of 500 euro, which turned into a claim of over 10,000 euro based on a court's decision. This is a Seat Alhambra from 1999, total loss paid, and also a claim for loss of use, namely for rented vehicle, claimed also by this representative. Of course, that the solution of paying for the interval, the insurer established that the vehicle could have been rented was objected by the third party's representative with complaints to authorities, explanatory notes, and whatever the complaints are bringing after them, and all kind of analysis just to reveal, at least to authorities and to the court, that the invoice tariff for a rent-a-car vehicle, even if 5 years ago, was extremely exaggerated. These are also the case data. Paid compensation out of court, 900 euro. This is the total loss of the vehicle plus the loss of use for 32 days. For the not accepted difference, the third-party representative initiated civil action in court, and he won all that he claimed in the first court. Afterwards, because the first court decision was enforceable, the insurer had to pay for the amount as decided by the first court, over 10,000 euro. And the appeal court decided that the lawsuit of the claimant should be rejected as unfounded, compelled both the plaintiff as well as the third party, both of them in solidar, to payment of the judicial costs in favor of the insurer. Nowadays, the file is still active because the third party's representative did not agree to reimburse the judicial costs. Of course, neither the amounts he had won based on the first court's decision. These are very rare decisions of the courts, whereas someone is stating that these are not necessarily costs to invoice rent-a-car claims under conditions that the third party was not even in Romania. As newsletters, new or same patterns, it's still the car-generating incomes, namely those persons who is purchasing a Volkswagen Phaeton, for instance, in less than 6 months. The vehicle is damaged 4 times and declared to 4 different insurers. Of course, every time it is another damaged part. Or claiming for the same damage to 4 insurers in the same time or under 1 month. There are groups that operate, one of them within the family, which are greedy and do not want to split the win outside their families. Or counseled by professional advisors. This is a forged repair invoice The name of the company who is supposed to have sold these spare parts, auto parts, SIB, SRL, does not even exist. This professional advisor for claimants effectively took this name from Russia, from a website, and allocated a fiscal attribute, the identification code of the company, of another company in another district in Romania. Anyway, it is dated 2019. The criminal complaint was registered in 2021, and nowadays it is still at the prosecution authorities, God knows for how long time, for a simple forged invoice.
Melania, 2 minutes, please.
Okay.
We are
Or
out of
big
time.
league, whereas vehicles expensive and lots of person involved. The claim handler skills to detect forged documents, registration plates. This is an ID, it is fake, does not belong to the person as course that for a fake ID, it is not declared in a file handled in Romania, but in Italy or another country. A forged vehicle registration card. The claim here was of over 60,000 euro and was a claim handled in Spain. Or even forged license plates. KT does not exist in Romania. It is Constanța, with C and T. Timișoara, if you see on the vehicle registration card instead of Timișoara. A theft in Paris 2 times in the same modus operandi. Distance between the 2 events, 10 kilometers. First case in 2023 was indemnified by Casco from a Romanian Casco insurer. Next year it was identified with Casco in a German insurance company, who of course rejected the compensation. Of course that all these satellites have to contribute to the claim settlement solution. Another issue would be the leakage of information. Persons who create fraudulent files and generates, of course, artificial increase of settlement amounts. Having reasonable suspicions is fine, but going overboard and complicating their lives beyond the impact of the traffic incident is not. Reasonable doubts are acceptable, excessive measures that further burden them are not. It's okay? Good time? Okay. Okay?
So thank you very much. It seems that behind this job there should be little Sherlock somewhere. Detecting suspicious moves. Are there questions for Melania? It's, yeah, please.
Can the AI replace the human decision in fraud cases?
You are asking me if the AI, if an AI driving tool would sometimes be able to distinct between writings on the NABI report, I would say yes. If someone is bringing a tool who is capable to distinguish between the handwriting on an amiable report, I say yes, they can do it. I would very much like to know, to see a tool who is generating this decision for the claim handler. Yes, you should pay this claim, you should reject this claim. And if you are rejecting, these are the sustainable proofs, evidences, which might help you in a court case, because the problem is not to reject a claim. This is very simple. We see all the time frustrated persons who are eagerly to reject claims and small claims and so on. Another issue, economical issue. It is worth to carry a litigation for 500 euro? No, of course. But these tools have to be developed. All this information, mechanisms, schemes, all kind of information have to be inserted in such a tools so that they could give you this nirvana effect that yes, he will think for you. You have to reject, you have to pay. Yes, the life would be very, very good in such a moment. But I do not know. I am not the proper person to be asked for this.
Well, I assume that the claims settlement process itself should be more modernly organized and using modern tools so that it could be compatible with AI tools for decision making. Thank you very much. Anyway, filling claims on paper or on apps or with other tools, in the end, everything goes through an analyzing process and hopefully fraudsters will be identified. To celebrate this, Jacek, what are we doing in the next 20 minutes?
We're having a coffee break, a very short one. So we have 20 minutes and we will welcome you back afterwards.
Just get a coffee and a little bit of enthusiasm for our last conference hour.
Okay, thank you for coming back. This part is the final one, and it's about the future. And before it starts, just to cheer you up, I will tell you a personal story about AI. I wrote something and I wanted a comment from the language model of Google. And the story started with the sentence, "A child is born perfect." And I got a response from AI saying there is plenty academic research proving that the human being is not perfect. This is just an example to show you that sometimes artificial intelligence should not be taken at its words. And with that, I want to pass the floor to Carol and Daniela.
Well, it definitely lacks the sense of humor, and also metaphors are not quite AI strong skill. Karel is ready to start the closing panel of this day, but before that, if you allow me just a minute, Karel, I would like to thank once again to the sponsor of this conference, because without them we wouldn't be here today and we wouldn't have such a full day. So, thanks again to AFES, to Auto 3P, Bullstrad, K2G, Fadata, Generali, Letmeans, Inspire 15, Visa, Vision Track, Axiomi, and Sirma. Thank you all for your contribution. Thank you also to the Association of Bulgarian Insurance for its support. And of course, last but not least, thank you, Revoxy, for having this wonderful idea and enabling this day here in Sofia, in Bulgaria. Now, time has come for the last panel of the day. So I am inviting, together with Karel on the stage, Case Worth again, Emil Dimitrov, Revoxy, Klima Popovsky, again, and a new participant, Mr. Manuel de la Rosa, AI solution consultant for K2G Switzerland.
Thank you, Daniela. So, ladies and gentlemen, bear with us for another half an hour. We're going to entertain you a little bit about AI, the subject that was of favor to everybody today. And the theme of this panel is really, is AI the way to paradise? And I have four gentlemen who are going to answer that question in different stages. And my first question is, should, on the basis of what we have heard about AI and the beauty of it, should now insurers change their claims management departments as a result of AI? Emil, you're looking at me so much demanding to answer the question. What is your advice?
So my advice is not so important, the reality is important. Yeah, they should change the behavior of their claim management departments. They should not replace, of course, the claim management departments, but all the claim management, in order to be adequate to the world today, both for new and old generations, both for small and big towns and different demands, they have to be adopting the AI and the technologies in order to get the satisfaction. And never, remember my presentation, to never let the ball touch the floor.
Okay, that's a clear message. Kees, what do you think?
I think that going forward, the AI could be an enabler to support the claims handler, so it will not replace, for sure. The human emotion and empathy is not something at the moment AI can replace. So it will be more from a processor to being coordinator of the claim, more with a human touch, and where the AI technology with data can support their day-to-day work.
Okay, that's very clear. Manuel.
Hello, today. I will answer with a small story. A few months ago, I was in Zagreb, and the first speaker in the conference was from a court system. He said that he believed AI should not be part of a court system because it's not reliable enough. The next speaker was the head of claims for Allianz Poland. She presented how they created internally an AI system to help claims handlers to manage the handling of the claims and shorten the time and increase the accuracy of their responses to claims. Throughout the rest of the conference, the representatives of Generali, Allianz, Zurich Insurance ate this guy alive.
Okay, very good.
So
that is the
there
answer.
is my answer.
The answer is very clear. If you don't want to be eaten alive, you better do something. Klime, what do you think?
Well, I will take the liberty to share my thoughts in this last panel as a former supervisor, but still with from the supervisory perspective, because I'm the only one as a former supervisor. As all of you know, that the supervisory authorities are more conservative comparing with the trends and what industry try to achieve. Therefore, my answer to your question will be that the supervisor will be not happy if the claims department will be fully replaced with the AI, and they will like to see a more conservative approach. But what means this? That supervisors are not against the AI, but they like to see clear rules, clear procedures. As I said in my panel, that the main goal of the supervisor is consumer protection. In order to have proper consumer protection, that all the procedures that will be applied from the insurance company must be in line with the regulation. And when we come to the claims, it must be fair and timely payment of the claims. So any technical solution that the insurance company will apply will be explored, it will be supervised in that respect. Fair and fast payment of compensation.
Okay, thank you very much. So, yes, you want to add something?
Yes, I just wanted to clarify that there was never a reduction of the claims, people in the claims department, just an assisting tool for them to process claims faster and better. In particular, with complex claims, the people see a benefit from having AI to assist on what is the rationale on the decision from the claims handler.
Okay, so I think that we have a clear answer on the panel on the question, yes, AI should be an enabling tool with all the guarantees, but it should not be replacing the claims management department. And my second question was, will AI ultimately replace claims managers? And you probably are going to say no, but then I ask you, is there a need for regulatory intervention in order to protect the consumers? Klime already talked about that, but you get a second answer. But let's start with Emil.
Okay, I'm not sure that I'm competent in talking about regulations, but anyway, claim managers cannot be replaced, of course, and I'm sure that they have to have some strict rules when they're enabled with such powerful weapons like the AI. Because yeah, it's really a powerful weapon, and we are not sure how exactly it is working. I mean, nobody knows what will be the future tomorrow, because we didn't imagine today's day before 1 year. So we don't know what will happen tomorrow with these weapons. You know the Moore's law. This law says that the computational power of the whole world doubles in every 18 months. Now the graphic is like this. So the regulation here is important for the safety of all of us. It's not only the claim managers, of course. It's about the regulation of AI at all. And yeah, you cannot replace claim managers because you see that there are many claim managers here in this room. If there is AI instead of them, you will have empty rooms. So it's not very comfortable to replace them.
No. I see that you want to remain popular amongst the audience.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
You have to pay me tomorrow.
Yes. Case, what do you think? Do
Yeah.
we need some regulatory intervention?
I think that what we see is that in any European insurance market, there is no strong and well-functioning EU market, insurance market without a regulatory. And the regulatory is overseeing the markets, set the rules, set the boundaries. And that especially now with AI being a new technology where we still have a lot to learn, the rules of the regulator will become even more important. Imagine the situation, and there are a lot of phishing mails going around. On Friday afternoon, the branch manager in Copenhagen will receive an email, please transfer 70,000 euro this afternoon to this and this bank account. Well, I think most of us now know when you're getting these emails, okay, let me double check. But what the case if an AI who now recorded, because this will be promoted on YouTube. The AI, there's a fraud team, is taking my voice and is making a sentence where they will call the branch manager in Copenhagen, because it's easy information to find, and said, hey Lorne, did you got my email? Quickly, because this money needs to be transferred afternoon. What are they going to do? He said, I have an email from him, which is from his side. He called me. I know his voice. I know the way how he's talking. This is 100%. So there we have to look at these kind of things, and the EU AI law which has come into place is the beginning. And we will see also going forward with contract with clients, they will ask you about what is your AI policy. And it will be audited. And it will be checked. And I think with all the things that are coming our way, we're just at the beginning where we see the risk of this going into the wrong direction is definitely there, and that's why we need a strong regulator.
Yeah. Well, in order to make sure that we fully understand what you're saying, because if you're pleading for regulation in an evolving area, this is tricky. And I think you mentioned this word policy, and that is what supervisors will want. Supervisors will want to hear from an insurance company, how does your AI system work? What are the guarantees for the case that it doesn't function well? I think that's what you had in mind.
Excellent.
Manuel, what do you think? Are we going to be eaten again?
It's working? Yeah.
It works, yes.
All right. Well, the regulation exists already. It's not whether there should be or not, it exists. The EU AI Act establishes clearly when the action of AI needs to be disclosed, when the AI impacts the life of a person, how it requires to be explainable. It establishes certain degrees of severity depending on the decision, and it gives a clear guidance. So for example, in the case of claims handling, it's pretty clear that most likely you want to use AI to enable the human to make the final decision and not let AI make the final decision, because then you have to explain how it works. By the way, explaining how it works is not complex. I was working for 10 years at Google and it's very explainable. But the regulation exists. It's a good thing that it exists. I would like my insurance company to tell me why they rejected or approved my claim. So I think there is no discussion about it.
Okay.
We need it, we have it, and it's very understandable. It's not so complex neither.
Oh, we're happy to learn that. Klime, tell us what you think. With your supervisors.
Again, when we come to the regulatory view on the AI, but in general in the technology, here I would like to address three important points. First, One is about the capacity of the regulators to tackle with the challenges and risks based on the technology. What means this? You know that the supervisors are government agency, and it's not easy to attract talent people to work in the government agency without enough incentives in terms of the compensation, in terms of salary. And this is the fight that maybe the supervisors are a few steps back. Because in order to look on the consumer protection and how the industry transforms, you must have really good people in the supervisory authorities. In that respect, always the international core principle of standards that are prescribed by IIS, principle number 2, it's about the financial resources, operational independence of the supervisory authorities. They must attract good talent that will be aware about the digital transformation. Second, the industry must also pay attention on RegTech. We are talking about the AI, but to be compliant with all AI, that means you should implement RegTech, which is, let's say, AI for regulatory compliance. This should be really focused as a message to the industry. And the third point is that supervisors, I said the talent people, but also to implement subtech. This is from the supervisory, from the regulatory point of view. That means they should also transfer themselves using the advanced technology and their supervisory traditional classical tools to be transferred to subtech. Currently, I'm working with one insurtech, subtech company, which is from Macedonia, startup company, and we try to develop so-called market power tools that they can assess through public monitoring of all public available information from the social networks and to measure the sentiment, which give a really good floor for the supervisors to make, which is because supervisors are risk-based oriented, and the market sentiment based on these AI tools for public monitoring gives a really good base how the risk-based supervision will be also in the line with technology and AI.
Very good, thank you, Klime. Again, the answer to the second question is quite simple. Everybody agrees there is already regulation. It is at a very high level, but we can apply it also in claims management, because explaining the system of claims management is also possible. And you can do that by having a policy. And it's also important that we keep in mind that supervisors also use AI. And I can tell you out of my own experience in the Bermuda Monetary Authority, where we supervise more than 1,000 insurance companies, we are forced to use AI in order to make our task possible. So keep that in mind when you talk to your supervisor. They will know what they talk about if what Klime says is right. And I hope that our supervisors will take this into account in Europe, that they need to have the right people in order to carry out the supervisory task, which is, by the way, a requirement under Solvency II on the member states, that they need to find the right people and have the right means to do their job. So, third question. We also talked, yes, you want to come back? You like to come back, that's fine.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, I recently had a very good master class from the University of Ghent in Belgium.
Yes.
They came to Switzerland and they explained to us the EU AI Act and how it can be interpreted for different use cases. The most complex is medtech. That's very, very complex, but not that complex for insurance. I have very good slides of it. If you want the slides, just reach out to me and I can share it to you. It was very clear from the university that it's not so complex, it's easy to understand for this case, not for medical, that's different. Which for me was really powerful because when I have a lot of conversations with insurance companies, sometimes, especially when the management does not want to introduce something new, the excuse is, oh, but the regulation is so complex. And I have 3 slides to show how, when it applies, when not, what level.
Very good. Okay. So we settled that case. Then the third question is, will AI make it easier to prevent fraud, or will it rather promote fraud through the production of fake claims declarations? What do you think, Emil?
Yes to both questions.
That's a good answer.
Yeah. As I told you before, it is a weapon, and it's a powerful weapon, the AI and the technology. And of course, if the bad guys like the fraudsters or the supervisor are using the AI, the insurers also, they have to use AI in order to survive or to fight against the fraudsters and the supervisors, of course. But I'm thinking about, can we imagine a future when this weapon will be so powerful that there will be a need for some kind of global agreement to stop, to somehow limit, like the nuclear weapons? You know, remember that it became so dangerous that we had to go to the global agreement to stop it, and maybe such time are ahead of us. I don't know. So. Yeah, they have to. They have no other chance to survive now, but what will be tomorrow, nobody knows.
So, but you also believe that fraud can be promoted by the use of AI?
It's a fact, you know. We already have systems. We had presentation from a Polish company today, yes, fighting against, quite complex frauds.
Yeah. Okay, Kees.
Coming from AI.
Are you of the same view?
Yeah, I'm on the same group. And I would like to add it takes a thief to catch a thief. So the AI has both sides of the coins. It will speed up, it will accurate the decision based on data. But on the other hand, in the wrong hands, it will also will be used to have and to create fraudulent cases like we discussed and what we saw today. So AI also need to be deployed against AI to get there a balancing act that the AI will check an AI-generated document or a picture in order to see, is this real or is this fake? And that is what then the measure will mean to look at potential fraud and counter fraud.
Yeah, excellent. Manuel.
Thank you. I really like what Emil said about the weapon because it reminds me, I always compare AI to a knife. A knife can be used for many things, and in 99.9% of cases is used to cook, to create something really great for humankind. In some cases, it can be used for something else, right? But to make things more specific, if by AI, because AI is a word that means many things, it means neural networks, machine learning, generative AI, LLM. But if by AI you are thinking about LLMs, the commercially available LLMs like Gemini generated by Google, ChatGPT generated by OpenAI have very strong guardrails. Actually, to prepare for this question today, I tried to convince my AI to tell me how to trick my insurance company to claim a new phone. And he repeatedly told me, don't do it, it's not the correct thing, they will catch you. He refused to do it. They have very strong guardrails to ensure that these solutions from their companies are not being used for racism, fraud, etc., because it legally exposes them. And also, all of these solutions are designed to be sold. So they want to keep them positive. If you try to ask an advice to ChatGPT, if you go today and ask it, I have this business idea, should I go for it? It will be super positive. It will tell you, go, it's great, you are fantastic. They are by default biased to be positive and they have strong guardrails. So I believe it's unlikely that an individual user can use it to generate fraud to you. That being said, some more elaborate organizations could use. For example, last Friday I was having dinner with one of my best friends, somewhere engineer at Google. I told you I worked there for the last 10 years. She's now in a team that works in developing AI agents to attack systems and AI agents to defend systems. Because Google's default security system is to attack itself, to find potential leakages.
Okay, thank you. Klime.
Well, fraud existed since, exists now and will exist. The people who are dealing with fraud always they try to be one step forward. So AI, it's a very good also environment for these creative people to try to attack and to make fraud. And now the question will be how we should protect. So already he explained the Google case, and this is something that is going on. And also I will share one interesting case in one country where the regulator set up a regulatory sandbox, and in some environment where you test your outputs, and the regulators ask the startup and the insurance company who were in this controlled environmental testing scenario related with claims, let's check all the option of fraud, possible fraud that might happen, and let me see how this solution will protect. So this is also very important, that in every AI solution always must to think and to act and to be aware about the fraud as a huge risk. But here it's very thin line between fraud and cyber attack. So because all this AI or technological solution, in the end it's a subject of cyber attacks. Yeah. And cyber attacks are #1 risk for insurance companies based on this risk barometer that already I said today. In the last 5 years, cyber risk, it's #1 or #2.
Okay, so here again, very simple. The answer to the third question is, let's not be naive, because a lot of things can happen. And to your point, Manuel, if the American president were to tell Google to change its approach to AI from positive to negative, we'll all be applying a negative approach. Let's not forget that, and that's why I agree with what Emil was saying. We need to think about maybe an international agreement to make sure that the system is not manipulated because it comes from one part of the world, and that part of the world is no longer free to decide what it wants. So that is a risk. Yes, Emil?
Something to this. There is also important perspective to this. All the insurance companies are competitors on the market, okay? But in this, they can cooperate and to share with each other, and this is important. I think.
Yes, I entirely agree with you, always under the presumption that they are free to do what they want to do, which in today's environment, international, may no longer be the case. Let's not be naive in that respect. So the last question I want to ask, but it's opening up something new. We've been talking today about claims management and how AI can help and assist and so on. Now the other question, which is very much on the agenda today in the insurance world, is adaptation and prevention. Because we have more and more risks today, which are so huge that insurance companies are saying, you know, it's not a question of claims management, it's to prevent claims. Adaptation and prevention, do you think that is going to be the way forward in insurance? Emil?
Yes, like always, over the history, the accidents and the damages and the claims, they develop. I mean, they change over the time. So today we prevent, we know how to prevent something and know how to adapt to something, but there are new risks which open. Like, you know, now the big question is how to ensure the autonomous cars, for example. There are new jobs which appear in the world, so this means new responsibilities, etc. There will be new ones which we still don't know, even if we don't know. So there will be insurance and claims and claim management for them. So yeah, of course, the prevention will stop the ones which we know already, but the ones which will come, they are interesting area of exploration for claim management.
Okay, thank you. Case?
Yeah, I think it's both. It's an adoption and prevention going forward. As Emil also mentioned, and it's coming now closer by as well. In 2026, we will see the first autonomous vehicles in London driving. That has been agreed by law now. So it's a matter of time, and we will see that moving to continental Europe as well.
Through the tunnel?
And through the tunnel.
Which side of the tunnel?
Exactly. And what will happen in case of accident? Who is there the liable party? Where in the current situation, in our situation, it's the driver. But then there is no driver anymore. It's a vehicle which is managed by data and by technology. So there we will see a completely new rules, and we have to adapt to this. On the other hand, the claims management side, and that was mentioned in the first speakers and panel this morning, that said, okay, what is the most remarkable thing? Change management, what was mentioned. So we have to change in that way that we adopt, but also and we're focusing more on the prevention. And the claims data will help to build that models to look more at the prevention of risk management.
Okay, thank you. Manuel? We just have, we're losing our time, so make it short, please.
I don't understand this question, so I don't know.
Well, that's a good answer.
Next.
I know about AI, but about insurance is my partner here, Emil, who knows a lot, so
okay,
I have to skip this
fair
one.
enough. You don't have to answer a question that you believe you don't have an answer to.
Yeah.
Klime. Students do have to do that.
Yeah. Prevention is now my favorite topic, because all these conferences, when we discuss about the insurance market development and how the business model of the insurance company are changed, they are more focused on the prevention. With prevention, we're narrowing the protection gap, more affordable products to the clients. And of course, the frequency and severity of the risk and the claims will be less and less. So prevention, it's a very powerful tool. Not time, but I can prove this even with research papers. That's very simple on the motor insurance. There were research papers that measure the number of the highway kilometers that will built in one country, the number of presence of the more safety car, and the frequency decline sharply. So this is a prevention.
Okay, thank you very much. So also the answer to the fourth question is very simple. Prevention, adaptation will become more important. It won't resolve all the problems of AI, but we need to keep an eye on that. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the last panel of the day. Let's thank our panel members for their contributions.
Thank you all both for your participation in the panel and also for sharing your knowledge throughout this conference. And now we have finally reached to the last presentation. I need to thank to the presenter in advance for his courage to hold this last slot, which is not easy. Nikolai Kröger, Managing Director for Jura Solution, he will speak about the future. And, well, cross-border claims in the age of AI, building the European claims ecosystem of 2030. It's not such a distant future, but considering the speed to which technology is advancing, who knows what will bring 5 years from now on. Please, Nikolai.
Thank you very much. Initially, I feel very honored as an old white man to have the possibility to talk about the future. I realize we're shortly before the end of this conference, which was very, very full of information, and I realize many are looking forward to have a drink as soon as possible. Please bear with me for just a few minutes longer to discuss the future. And relax, listen, I'm just going to tell you a story. In reality, I don't have a big presentation. I'm just going to take you not down a trip through memory lane, but we're going to look into something which I consider to be not the very distant future, but something very immediate. Initially, I wish to follow up on something Emil just said. He said the claims departments should change. I actually want to take that a bit further. They have to change. There's simply no alternative. It's pretty easy, actually. We said there are a lot of claims managers here. Will they be replaced by AI? Yes, some will be. Probably many will be. Then again, looking around, and with all due respect, many of us here in this room already have reached a certain age where they will leave anyway. And if you look at the respective insurance markets now, here in Europe at least, there's not one market that does not have issues with staff shortages, and we're talking about significant staff shortages. It's difficult for insurers, and by the way, service providers alike, to recruit staff. The baby boomers are leaving us, well, leaving us maybe in a few years, but they're leaving the employment market. And as a matter of fact, the young generation, well, many people are no longer seeking to do the jobs that we have learned to look at. Ask the young generation. They no longer want to be a policeman or a soldier or a pilot or work in the insurance industry. They want to be influencers, they want to be YouTubers, they want to be TikTokers, they want to be gamers, and probably this is a very interesting perspective for them. So there's a real necessity for change simply because change has already happened in reality. And responding to Klime on that, I guess this also will make the supervisor happy. Last year was a difficult year for the German insurance market. The German financial supervisory authority, BaFin, commented on the behavior of several MTPL insurers for delaying claims. I myself, as a lawyer, have filed numerous claims against German insurers. And initially, before presenting them with a writ of summons, I have a tendency to try, at least, to call them. In September of last year, I managed to reach one claims handler at a significant major insurance company. And I said, look, in reality, everything's clear. There's no need for us to discuss this in front of court, which means my client will have to wait months until this case is finally decided, and you will end up paying more. So let's see if we can sort this. And her response was, Mr. Kröger, I'm very sorry. My inbox is dated January. By the way, I had this conversation in September. So you can imagine what's going on. And I think in this respect, AI will not only be a significant support, it will substantially change things are going on today and ultimately also benefit the claimant, the injured party, which would make the regulator happy. So this morning, Case said that Dutch lawyers have actually already developed AI to the extent that coverage letters are no longer written by junior lawyers but by AI. I also want to take this a step further. We are a small-sized German law firm. We have developed our own in-house AI tools. And we are now in a position that with the technical expertise and a few additional documents, for example, a police report, which is difficult to read in Germany because it's still written in handwriting on paper, but that's a different story. We are actually able not only to extract data, of course, but it will provide us with the initial letter of claim to the insurer and also already with the writ of summons. So the moment we open a file in our system, we actually already have the first notification to the insurer plus the writ of summons in case he doesn't respond. It's, again, also here in this respect, it will replace people, of course it will, but it still needs people as well, at least for a certain time. So what have we got today? When we look at foreign MTPL claims, I realize there are a lot of people here who are familiar with green card claims, fourth motor insurance, directive claims. We're still looking at pretty much, well, diverse situation. Let me pick you up for those of you who are not familiar with these type of claims by just giving you a very practical example, also orienting myself on the German market. So we have a Polish truck driver. We heard this morning that the majority of all vehicles driving through Europe are Polish. We have a Polish truck driver, his name is Bogusław, and he causes an accident to the German claimant, Hartmut. Hartmut is injured. Does anybody know how that would work in Germany? What would the injured person do? Well, of course he would go to a technical expert. He no longer addresses an insurer, or he no longer addresses a lawyer. Many, many decades ago, by the way, the lawyer was the first person to go to. This is over. He goes to a technical expert. And the technical expert will say, okay, does a technical expertise. And ultimately, he will tell him, look, you had an accident with someone from Poland, Eastern Europe. You need a lawyer. Well, he needs a lawyer anyway, even if it was a German insurer, but that's a different story. So ultimately, of course, this technical expert will work together with lawyers. Talking about claims costs, you're already looking at the watch ticking here because you've already got the cost for the technical expert plus the costs for the lawyer. And then this lawyer will ultimately try to figure out who to address his claim to. In many cases, the first instance is the Green Card Bureau, the National Green Card Bureau. I have to say, throughout Europe, there are many differences. But again, sticking to the German situation, let's say if you don't find information on the insurer in their database, you address yourself to the Green Card Bureau. Now, the beginning of this year, and this is actually when I started thinking about this more detailed, I did that, and I got an auto-reply. An email saying, at the moment, a lot of emails are reaching us. We will come back to you within 6 or 8 weeks. Okay, so here you are as a lawyer. representing a client who has had a traffic accident, who has claims, who wants to see compensation. And the first reply you get is, oh, we're receiving a lot of emails at the moment, and we will come back to you in 6 or 8 weeks. By the way, this is before you have actually even addressed the claim to the responsible entity. So ultimately, you find out who's responsible, and in this case, since it's a green card claim, you ask yourself who's the correspondent. Let's say you get this information somehow at some stage. Now what happens? You file it to the correspondent. Depending on who it is, this can also take some time. Initially, insurers or service providers, there are some that simply take time. Again, maybe even up to weeks. You do get an auto reply quickly saying we receive a lot of emails again, but before actually something happens, weeks. Now, German courts have said in an international claim, you can expect 8 to 10 weeks, and the claim should be settled. Should be settled. There are not many lawyers who will wait longer than 8 to 10 weeks. If the claim is not settled within 8 or 10 weeks, this claim is going to go to court, and then we can discuss it there. Ultimately, also leading to higher costs, of course, but ultimately also leading to an enormous client satisfaction. Now, when I talk about client satisfaction in this context, there are two sides of the story, actually. With one, I mean the claimant himself. He's not a client, he's the claimant, I understand that, but nevertheless, he's experiencing all of this. He's the one who receives the information, okay, you have to wait, no, there's no compensation, we don't even know who's responsible. Now we know who's responsible, but we have to figure out what's going on. And in some cases, if the responsible entity settling the claim will even make further investigations, for example, acquiring the police report or something like that, the settlement of this claim is simply going to take a lot of time. So his experience is not a very positive one, to say the least. But also the insurer abroad, until this day, in many cases, does not have a very positive experience. Many insurers are still complaining that the information they receive are not sufficient, the documents they receive from their respective partners abroad are not sufficient, etc., etc. Thinking about the Amazon effect, this doesn't go together. For those of you who are familiar with Amazon and the Amazon effect, it basically says the following. When you order something on Amazon, you immediately get information that your order has been prepared for shipment, your order has been shipped, your order is going to arrive shortly, your order is only 2 stops away, your order has reached your doorstep. Now, this is the reality we live in. And looking back to where we came from, there's no way we can possibly do that manually. We cannot cater for this kind of information flow manually, especially with a workforce that is decreasing. So, in reality, AI is not a hype. As a matter of fact, it's pretty much reality. This reality is going to affect our lives and influence our lives even more than we can imagine at this moment. This is my firm belief. Allow me to give you another example. I told you I'm going to tell you a story, so please bear with me. As a lawyer, there's this idea that you have to be available around the clock. I don't know where it came from, because indeed lawyers are meant to go to court. Sometimes we even go to jail to speak to our clients. But apparently we're supposed to be available around the clock, and especially be available to answer telephone calls. From this necessity, we decided to introduce an AI-based telephone system this year, which actually, it's not a bot, so it's not one of these AI, it's not one of these automatic bot systems you talk to where you just say a word and it will lead you on to the next level. It is an AI voice system. So what you have to do is you have to talk to it naturally. By the way, 50% calling us fail doing that because they simply can't talk to an artificial intelligence. They think it's a bot and they will simply use words instead of sentences, which causes issues. But to give you an idea of the reality we live in, one of the transcripts I read recently, by the way, this is only two weeks ago, our system is called TARIS. So I read this transcript saying, hello, my name is Taurus, I'm the AI agent of UR Solutions, blah, blah, blah. And on the other side, it said, hello, my name is Gravis. I'm the AI agent of Google whatever. So these two AI systems talk to each other. And it was quite interesting to see. They spoke for about 6 minutes. Apparently, Google wanted to have a conversation with us on marketing or whatever. They wanted to sell us something, obviously. And they both agreed very politely that this could be something useful to discuss in future and that they would arrange for a meeting at some stage. This is already reality. I mean, we're in 2025. We're talking about 2030 soon. Armin said today, the person who sets up AI in the next years is going to be the winner. And then he had his doubts again. Where's Armin? Are you here? Oh. Huh? Uh-huh. Okay. That was a test. No, then he had his doubts. At least I had the feeling he did. But I do believe the entity, whether this is an insurer, whether this is a service provider, whether this is an investor, in this area, to come up with this solution first, is going to be the winner. For sure. So, just briefly looking into what I expect in 2030 in this respect, I don't believe in filing the claim the way I told you we would be filing it now. Thinking about AI agents, I think you will be able to report your claim 24/7, talking to an AI. By the way, in the language you want to talk to, because even our AI system will identify you as a Dutch speaker or a Turkish speaker or whatever, and he will reply accordingly. So why not, instead of using an online form to submit your claim, or as we heard today, using paper, simply report your claim via phone? The majority of especially the younger generation are no longer interested in writing anyway. Some of them are not even capable of doing that. So why not give them the opportunity to report everything by phone, talk to the AI. Ultimately, I also believe this AI-based claim system will be in a position, as much as I said before, we have developed a system where it will actively present a claim, to actively defend against a claim. There's no reason why it shouldn't be able to do that. It will take time, it will take learning, and it will take a lot of manual input, but it will decrease the manual input. If you ask me now, I would predict, if you were to set up a system like this, within 3 years you would probably be able to settle 80% of all claims via AI. You would always have to have a safety exit, as I call it, so that someone who has the experience, who has the expertise, can look over it, and can maybe give it the green light to continue on the line it's on, or to maybe even give it the red light. Earlier today we were discussing fraud on many, many occasions. And one of the questions also there was with regards to the experience. Yes, I know. Yes, I know. Was with regards to the experience. Don't forget, when we're talking about AI, you're prompting the system. So it largely depends on the person and the experience of the person who's prompting the system to identify fraud. And if it's someone who's very, very well experienced, then yes, I also agree this is something that can absolutely be done. I've come to an end, as a matter of fact. If there are any questions, I'm happy to take them. If there are no questions, then I think everybody is happy to wrap up this conference, which was, in my opinion, very successful. I thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to participate in it. And thank you very much for your attention.
Actually, we thank you for coming and sharing your views with us. Well, I think 2030 has the potential to be a very interesting time, maybe completely different than what we can expect now when we are speaking. Who knows? The future is open for anything. So, at this point in our journey, we have reached the final conclusions. I will kindly ask Karel to summarize a little bit what we have talked about today and to present these conclusions, and then it's farewell time.
Thank you very much, Daniela. I will not keep you too long, don't worry. We had a busy day, and we also received a wealth of information from so many people. It's quite unusual, heavy agenda. So congratulations for all of you who stayed so long, because I know this is not easy to keep your attentions for such a long time. Well, claims management is a critical function in every insurance company. We heard today that there are many solutions that can help to make the process more efficient. In designing these solutions, one should not forget, or never forget, that the ultimate beneficiary is the customer. And a customer-centric approach is more likely to bring customer satisfaction. A satisfied customer is a happy customer and will give positive feedback, which will ultimately also benefit the insurance company. AI can assist to improve the efficiency of claims management of the process, but it should not be there to replace the human touch. AI should support and not replace people. In the end, insurance is about human beings. It is also part of social science, as many people have forgotten. We will therefore always need real empathy, which cannot be replaced by chatbot empathy. It is important in this context to be transparent, to be fair, and we learned that we should also be able to explain the systems that we are using. That's for the conclusion of today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Karel. So this concludes the works of today. I myself am happy with the result. I think we had a very good conference, lots of interesting things that we have heard here today. A lot of questions that maybe require another meeting to find their answers. I think AI being quite new, in fact, and people being people as always, no matter what profession they have, maybe many of us are a little bit reluctant with regard to these new technologies that we don't fully understand. So deciding if we should adopt them or not, when we feel that we cannot grasp 100% their capabilities, the risks, the benefits, etc., it will take a little bit of time to get used with the idea. That being said, thank you all for being here. Thank you all for being patient. And hopefully we will meet again soon. And now it's Yasin's moment of glory because he will make a very happy announcement. Goodbye to all and see you soon.
Thank you, Daniel. Just before the happy announcement, I will ask for another round of applause, this time to the Revoxy team for doing the conference, for the X-Prime for helping out. It's been great. And you can join them downstairs in the Allegro lounge for the reception, which is on the ground floor. Thank you all. It was a pleasure.